will enable people to know that you've got to check, you've got to cross-check. Okay? I mean, we have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be. You know, so in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts so before you can believe, you know, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. I mean, people are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media, and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube. You go to Instagram. People are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity in media, and I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it, and for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. I mean, thanks to our mobile news. I mean, we talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your Google map, and you don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just, you know, go to the app, and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, you know, so that we don't mislead people on the street, you know, particularly people in the rural areas. You know, one day you just see everybody running helter-skelter because somebody posted in news that is not correct. So we need to watch that and put some more control. But I like the growth in the media space. Let's get back. When I got into the banking sector, I saw myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was the period of tally number, you know. Remember this commercial, you know, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bank? I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, you know. So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times my board members will ask me, are you on the board or you are still a customer? I said, first and foremost, I want to remain a customer of the bank. Who will come into the bank and get properly served? Who will come into the bank and feel like human? Who will come into the bank feel important? Because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time. And I said, look, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. I mean, yeah, you can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer the king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits, okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get from their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan, and you tell them, give them all the facts and figures, okay? They will tell you, you are going to pay interest of 20%, 23%. When they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so much. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you leave me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the banks than the customer. So I met a lot of pushbacks, in that area. And I must just say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. In the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5% in Nigeria, goes as far as. Maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together. For both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to, so there be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. Then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And suddenly, banks started, employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks, so people can spread out and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system and we are still going. Now, the bank for a long time have been let loose to to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks. It was almost an extension of the State House. You just pick up your bell and you ring and the governor of Central Bank will come shaking, because you had the power to bring him in and fire him. So he had to respect everything that the president wants. And it's wrong. This time around, I can say, even in some parts of Africa, you couldn't run the central bank the way we run it here. All the CBN governors wanted to do, please the president, and you are free to do whatever you want to do, and it's wrong. It's wrong. I mean, take even Britain here. Have you ever heard this kind of relationship between the Prime Minister of England and the CBN? No. Everybody has his mandate. In places, in climes like that, the president doesn't call up the central bank governor, go and do this, go and do that. Exchange rate should be done. Change your policy to be done. I mean, that's part of the problem we've had in this country. So the last government and their CBN just ran this country to their whims and caprices. You leave your monetary policy. In fact, you were running both monetary and fiscal at the same time. You took the Minister for Finance, for instance, and you have no dealings with him or her. You ran their own programs for them. And you did things that they should do, but they couldn't query you because the president, had your back. So a lot of things went wrong. And the result is now here for all of us to see. So look at the changing of redesign, what they call redesigning of the currency. Now we know there are so many ways you should have done it, but we put politics and added it into our financial and monetary policies. We wanted to do it specifically to change the course of history. And it is wrong. So today, we now know what's happening at the central bank. In fact, if the true story of what went on in the last 8 years was told, I don't know what will be left of this country. You had this little thing in the Constitution that said the government can borrow from the CBN within certain limits. They call it ways and means. But no. And there was a percentage tied to it. You can't do more than 5%. And by the time you're asking for the new one, you should have paid up. We went on piling up. It's like just go and print the money. What Idi Amin used to do in Uganda in those days. That's the kind of situation we found ourselves. Very regrettable. But I believe some sanity will now come into this space. The new central bank has at least outlined its policies. It has also said, let me keep to my monetary policy, which is my area, and leave the paperwork and how they want to run it with people who deal with the fiscal area. So we want to change. We think things should change. Now, before now, we borrowed and borrowed without thinking about how are we going to pay? Who are we leaving this debt for? Now we know it's for you and me to still do our work, put in as much money as we can, no matter how little, into the bank, and revive the banking industry. Okay, so the CBN has its own role, and my prayer and my wish is that they will keep their own part of the bargain, leave other people. The Minister for Finance has said it that much. We should. We all know, simple economics. You don't borrow money to pay your debt. You borrow money for production. You borrow money to fix things like your oil maintenance and all that. Where our money should be coming from. That's what you borrow money for. You don't borrow money for wastages. You don't borrow money to satisfy your whims and caprices. You don't borrow money to just go out there and waste it. Now, you borrow money to pay back your debt. At the end of the day, we are back lower than where we started off from. So really, my appeal to both the president and his cabinet, particularly those that do with finance, give them some room. You put them there because you think they know what they're supposed to do. Give them the space. If it goes breathing down their neck, at some point, it will just be, President said so, President said, even things that the President did not say, President said so, and it's got to be done. And we are running a country, even when you run your home, you are able to sit down with your little income and plan. Every day we are being told, if you earn this much, use this little bit, keep the rest in the bank, because you never know about tomorrow. So that's where we found ourselves, and I believe that if everything goes right, we should see massive changes from what it was, the last 8 years. We need drastic changes in the system. My mom in Abalinde used to say to me, when I want to be lazy, he will make sure you do what she wants you to do. And he will remind you that hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that turns you into an inconsequential human being with no sense of direction. We grew up learning hard work, both in school and out of school. I, for instance, hawked on the streets of Lagos with my mom. You leave St. Gregory's College, now not primary school, St. Gregory's College. You come back. My mother was a textile seller. Got it, probably went to Balogun, pick up. When I come back from school after my lunch, get a basket full of cloth, which I put on my head, and we go from street to street. My mother is carrying her tape rule and another measurement stick, and we'll go round Obalende, Igoshere, Bamboshe, Oshoji, and we were selling From there, she graduated to owning a shop in Balogun. When I leave school, I was her accountant, so to say, bookkeeper. All the things they sold, I make, keep the records and everything. I helped her take the money to the bank. It was Barclays Bank, what was it called then? Yeah, Barclays Bank, before it became Union Bank in Balogun. So I've learned how to trade. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to deal with customers. Plus that, I was also a bread seller. Somewhere along Strachan Street off Igboshere, there was a big bakery owned by the Lawson family. To be able to get enough bread, you got to get there between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay? So let me cut it short. We learned to work hard. And that working hard continued with us up till where we are today. We also were very straight-minded in terms of what we wanted to be. We played pranks, so we went out to play football, we went out to play with the girls and everything. But at the end of the day, you returned home. And our parents didn't spare the rod. They didn't. You came back later than expected to. They would lie you on the floor and dealt with you. So the combination of the kind of upbringing and the kind of training we went through home probably kept us where we are. And like I said to you before we started the interview, you knew that if you finish your primary school, secondary school is the next thing. If you finish secondary school, you don't know what you are going to reading for. Not until probably when you got to the university did it occur to you, okay, I'm going to choose a profession. But all along, we just did it because that was what the system and environment asked for. So, secret of success, hard work, hard work, hard work. No. I had a father who was very finicky about appearance. When I lived on Igboshere Road, our church was on Louis Street, so to say, walking distance. He taught me how to wear full agbada right from primary school, secondary school. I mean, today, you just wear buba and shokoto, you go to church. Never was that happening. It's got to be full. Right. Then from there, by the time you got into, my father died while I was in university. Before then, he was always having this very thin bow tie, not this bigger one, bigger sizes now. Thin, even when his dress is khaki, he still had it on. So I admired him, but initially I was on my long tie, up till a point, and I look back at some photographs we took when we were in the secondary school, and I thought, no, let me go back to those old days. Some people tell me it makes you look old. I said, I don't mind, but these days I have just acquired that fashion taste, which has suddenly become my, become what I'm known with. And I enjoy it. And I encourage people, once in a while, put on your bow tie. It makes you look good, makes you look impressionable, it makes you look a serious person, and it makes people take a second look at you. Number one, parents started sparing the rod. Call it civilization, call it growing up and all that. Parents started sparing the rod because they always whipped us to shape. You knew what was expected of you, and you did it. Because if you didn't do it, your punishment is waiting.
Hello and welcome to World News on SOUQ News Television. I am Omobola Sandra. First, the headlines. The Director General of the Nigeria-China Strategic Partnership, Mr. Joseph Tegbe, says Nigeria targets $50 billion bilateral trade with China by 2030. Nigeria fled 203.9 billion cubic feet of gas in 2025, despite over 92% utilization, showing ongoing losses. Uganda's economy expected to grow 6.5 to 7% from July, down from earlier 10.4% projection, Finance Ministry says. President Trump warns the United Kingdom against deepening China ties, calling it dangerous amid Starmer's economic engagement visit. Carlos Alcaraz reaches first Australian Open final after 5-hour, 5-set comeback win over Alexander Zverev. We'll bring you the details in a moment. The Director General of the Nigeria-China Strategic Partnership, Mr. Joseph Tegbe, said Nigeria plans to scale up bilateral trade with China to 350 billion renminbi, about $50 billion by 2030. He disclosed this during a meeting with a high-power delegation from the Chinese embassy in Nigeria. The delegation included Mr. Jinhong Hu, Chargé d'Affaires of the Chinese embassy, Mr. Wang Yingku, Minister Counselor for Economic and Commercial Affairs, and other senior embassy officials. Discussions focus on expanding trade, investment, cooperation, and strengthening long-term economic ties between both countries. Tegbe said Nigerian exports are expected to account for at least 30% of the projected $50 billion trade volume. He explained that this will be driven by the upcoming zero-tariff policy and a significant increase in agricultural exports. Officials said the strategy aims to rebalance trade flows, boost foreign exchange earnings, and position Nigeria as a major export partner within China's global trade network. The federal government, through the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, NAQS, warned that Nigeria must not become a dumping ground for substandard agricultural produce. The agency emphasized strict adherence to safety standards to protect public health and local markets. NAQS called on shippers and importers to embrace zero tolerance for unsafe imports. The warning coincided with the sealing of a compliance pact between the agency and fruit importers operating in the country. Officials said the agreement aims to ensure imported produce meets national safety and quality standards. Speaking on Wednesday during a high-level stakeholders meeting in Lagos, NAQS Comptroller General Dr. Vincent Isegbe stressed that Nigeria must avoid self-sabotaging practices or create unnecessary barriers to legitimate trade. He said the pact reinforces accountability while promoting safe, quality agricultural imports, supporting the government's broader effort to safeguard public health and strengthen confidence in the country's food supply chain. Also, the federal government may raise excise duties on alcohol, tobacco, and other sin goods as part of broad tax and revenue reforms tied to a $750 million World Bank financing program. The move aims to boost government revenue while aligning excise rates with global benchmarks. The World Bank, in its implementation status and results report on the Nigeria Accelerated Resource Mobilization Reforms Program for results, noted that Nigeria's current excise rates on SIM goods remain very low. The report said steps are now underway to review and increase rates, with implementation expected from 2026 under the reform program. A 2020 tax summary by PwC shows Nigeria uses a hybrid excise duty regime on alcohol and tobacco, combining ad valorem rates with specific levies. Officials say the planned adjustments will modernize the tax system, discourage harmful consumption, and strengthen domestic revenue mobilization. Nigeria fled more than 203.9 billion standard cubic feet of natural gas in 2025, even as overall gas utilization remained above 92%, according to figures from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The data highlights continued losses from flaring despite years of policy commitments to curb the practice. The figures were contained in the Commission's full-year 2025 gas production status report, which shows strong production performance across onshore and offshore assets. Gas output and utilization improved year on year, reflecting investments in processing capacity, domestic supply obligations, and export infrastructure. However, the report points to a persistent contradiction within the sector, with higher production occurring alongside elevated flaring levels. Analysts say the trend underscores infrastructure gaps, delayed gas gathering projects, and weak enforcement. Regulators say ongoing reforms, penalties, and investment incentives are expected to reduce flaring, improve environmental outcomes, and maximize revenue from Nigeria's vast gas resources over the coming years. The Nigerian Senate on Thursday launched a comprehensive investigation into operational inefficiencies, insecurity, and alleged financial improprieties in Nigeria's railway system. The move comes amid growing concerns over declining service delivery across key rail corridors. The decision followed a motion by Senator Abdul Ningi and a point of order by Senator Adamu Alero, highlighting the worsening state of rail operations, particularly along the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano corridor. Lawmakers stressed the need for urgent intervention to restore efficiency, safety, and public confidence in rail transport. Senate President Godswill Akpabio inaugurated an ad hoc committee to conduct a holistic probe of the railway system. Chaired by Senator Adams Oshomole, the panel includes Senator Einaya Abaribe, Abdul Ningi, and others. The committee is tasked with investigating service failures, financial management, and security challenges, and providing actionable recommendations to improve Nigeria's rail sector and attract greater public and private investment. Nigeria's mobile phone operators plan to increase spending on network infrastructure in 2026, promising investment exceeding the over $1 billion, that is 1.4 trillion naira deployed in 2025, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, said. The commitment reflects growing demand for reliable connectivity and broader digital access across urban and rural areas. Last year, heavy capital expenditure saw telcos launch more than 2,850 new network sites. The expansion extended coverage across cities, rural communities, and major transport corridors, while also supporting the gradual rollout of 5G services. The investment strengthened mobile broadband capacity and improved overall service quality nationwide. Dr. Aminu Maida, Executive Vice Chairman of the NCC, said the improvements captured in the regulator's latest network performance report were largely driven by last year's spending. Operators said planned investment in 2026 will further enhance network reliability, support digital services, and sustain the country's growing mobile data consumption. The Rural Electrification Agency, REA, said about 1,207,227 residents of Benue State without access to electricity could be powered through solar mini-grids. The initiative is part of efforts to deepen energy access and attract private investment into the state's electricity market. The disclosure came on Wednesday during the 24th state-by-state high-level roundtable convened by the REA in collaboration with the Benue State government. The event brought together stakeholders to discuss strategies for expanding electricity access and mobilizing investment at the local level. According to the agency statement on Thursday, the roundtable aimed to accelerate implementation of the Electricity Act 2023 and the National Electrification Strategy and Implementation Plan. Officials said the focus is on catalyzing data-driven investments at the sub-national level, ensuring projects are efficiently planned, deployed, and maintained, while boosting private sector participation in Benwe's electricity sector. Still to come in the news, China will lower tariffs on whiskey imports to 5%, benefiting Britain's whiskey industry after leaders from both countries met this week to repair strained ties. This is the World News. We'll be right back.
From Dubai to Lagos, Nigeria, and across the globe, SOUQ News TV is your #1 station focusing on business, economy, and development. With global digital reach, we connect Africa's pulse to the world stage. Welcome to SOUQ News Television, and here we go beyond the headlines. From breaking news, in-depth conversational programs, to market analysis and indices. From policies affecting growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, we deliver content that connects you to the world. At SOUQ News Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. SOUQ News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited, also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano, and Emirate News Television Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. SOUQ News TV, your home for business, economy, and development.
Hello, Lagos. Make we yarn.
Hello, boy, this POS matter, don't pass your code. Listen, go swipe, alert no enter. Before you know it, jump.
Wait, what really happen?
Maybe you fake alert the warriors.
Okay, so wanna listen, If you do POS business, not expose your alert.
Hello, Ogbefi. They don't walk that road where they worry for our local government for years.
This one sweet me, I don't lie you. Because you know what? Development where they work, it deserve loudspeaker. Now why we dey here be that? For here, we know the abuse, we dey bring solution. My name, it is Ikechukwu Uyemike, aka Ogbefi Ishegwari.
Make we yarn every weekday from 10 a.m. go to 12 o'clock on top the eye 95.9 FM.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekbetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakonde established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakonde ran for election as Executive Governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakonde established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakonde was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakonde was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakonde, SOUQ Enlightenment.
Welcome back. Uganda's economy is projected to expand between 6.5% and 7% in the final year starting July, sharply lower than an earlier estimate of 10.4%, the Finance Ministry said. The revised outlook marks a significant downgrade from previous expectations tied to stronger economic momentum. The ministry released the updated forecast late Thursday in a post on the X platform, without providing specific reasons for the downward revision. The announcement has raised questions among analysts over the pace of recovery and the factors weighing on growth prospects. In a budget paper issued in December, the ministry had projected growth of 10.4%, citing anticipated gains from the start of oil production. The lower forecast suggests delays or constraints may be affecting expected output and investment. Economists say the revision could influence fiscal planning, investor sentiment, and budget assumptions as the government prepares for the new financial year. Ethiopia will return to holders of its $1 billion euro bond for further negotiations after its official creditors said a proposed debt restructuring deal struck earlier this month did not meet comparability requirements. The Finance Ministry said the move delays the country's efforts to secure relief amid ongoing fiscal pressures. In a statement posted on Facebook on Friday, the ministry said the Official Creditor Committee, OCC, through its co-chairs, informed Ethiopia that the draft restructuring deal does not fully meet the requirements of the comparability of treatment principle. Officials said further engagement with private creditors will seek terms that satisfy all stakeholders and maintain debt sustainability. Analysts said the development underscores the challenges African sovereigns face in aligning bilateral and private creditor agreements. Ethiopia aims to restructure its external obligations by preserving investor confidence, protecting public finances, and supporting economic recovery, particularly in a context of global inflationary pressures and regional development needs. Indonesia's chief economic minister on Friday pledged greater financial market transparency and stronger corporate governance after the stock exchange chief resigned, taking responsibility for an over $80 billion share market rout that shook investor confidence nationwide. Speaking at a news conference, coordinating minister Elanga Hartarto said authorities were committed to comprehensive stock market reforms, enhanced disclosure rules, and tighter oversight, while stressing that recent volatility did not reflect underlying economic conditions. Hartarto said Indonesia's economic fundamentals remain sound, citing stable growth, controlled inflation, and resilient fiscal buffers. Officials said reforms will aim to restore confidence, protect investors, and prevent repeat disruptions as regulators review trading practices, risk controls, and governance standards across listed firms and market institutions. Measures include clearer listing requirements, faster disclosures during stress events, tougher enforcement actions, and closer coordination between the exchange, regulators, and market participants to build trust and stabilize trading conditions over the medium term nationwide. Australia on Thursday pledged support for its critical mineral supply chains after the United States stepped back from plans to guarantee a minimum price for such projects, a move that has raised expectations among investors and miners. The announcement aims to stabilize the sector and maintain global competitiveness. Shares of Australian rare earth miners fell sharply on Thursday, following a Reuters report that the Trump administration had abandoned the proposed price guarantee. Analysts said the retreat created uncertainty over investment incentives and potential revenue for producers targeting U.S. and international markets. Officials said Australia will pursue alternative measures, including domestic funding, regulatory support, and export facilitation, to ensure projects remain viable. Industry experts noted that strong supply chains for lithium, cobalt, and rare earth are critical for global electric vehicle and renewable energy industries, and that the government backing will help maintain production, attract private investment, and safeguard strategic mineral availability. The United States and South Korea failed to reach a conclusion on the first day of face-to-face trade talks, Yonhap news agency reported on Friday, following threats by incumbent President Donald Trump to raise tariffs on South Korean goods. The talks come amid trade tensions and concerns over potential impacts on bilateral economic relations. South Korea's industry minister, Kim Jong-hwan, traveled to Washington for the discussions, holding meetings at the U.S. Department of Commerce, according to Yonhap. The talks focused on tariffs, market access, and broader trade issues affecting both economies. Kim said he would meet U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick again tomorrow as negotiations continue. Officials gave no indication of a breakthrough, but said dialogue would continue. Analysts say the outcome could shape future trade ties and influence tariff policy decisions in the coming months between both governments and key industries on both sides of the Pacific region. China will lower tariffs on whiskey imports to 5% from 10%, benefiting Britain's whiskey industry after leaders from both countries met this week to repair strained ties. The move aims to expand trade and support UK exports in a key beverage sector. The tariff reduction takes effect on February 2nd, according to a statement from China's State Council. Officials say the adjustment reflects improved bilateral relations and efforts to facilitate market access for foreign products. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office said the deal, announced on Thursday, could be worth $250 million, that is $344.13 million, to UK exporters over the next 5 years. Analysts said the cuts will boost competitiveness, increase volumes shipped to China, and strengthen long-term trade relations, providing new opportunities for distillers, distributors, and retailers in both countries, while reinforcing the economic benefits of diplomatic engagement and commercial cooperation in the beverages sector. The defense ministers of South Korea and Japan agreed on Friday to upgrade bilateral defense cooperation, with plans to jointly incorporate artificial intelligence and unmanned weapon systems, South Korea's defense ministry said. The agreement reflects deepening security coordination amid rising regional tensions and shared concerns over technological warfare. Japanese Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi and his South Korean counterpart Han Yu-bak held talks in Yokosuka, Japan, according to an official statement. Both sides agreed to conduct joint naval search and rescue drills to strengthen interoperability and operational readiness between their maritime forces. Officials said the expanded cooperation will focus on future-oriented capabilities, including emerging defense technologies and coordinated training. Analysts say closer military ties between Seoul and Tokyo could enhance regional stability, improve crisis response, and signal a unified approach to evolving security challenges in East Asia, as both governments pursue closer alignment with allies and defense industry partners across the region globally. Still to come in the news. The Kremlin said on Friday that Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to a request from U.S. President Donald Trump to halt strikes in Kiev until February. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Hello, Lagos. Make we yarn.
Hello, boy, if this POS matter, don't pass your code. Person go swipe, alert no enter. Before you know it, jump.
Wait, wetin really happen?
Maybe you say alert the warriors.
Okay, so Mona, listen, if you dey do POS business, no expose your alert.
Hello, Ogbefi. They don't walk that road where they worry for our local government for years.
This one sweet me, I no lie you. Because you know what, development with the work, it deserve loudspeaker. Now why we dey here be that? For here, we know the abuse, we dey bring solution. My name, it is Ikechukwu Uyemike, aka Ogbefi Ishegwari.
Make we yarn every weekday from 10 a.m. go to 12 o'clock on Top the Eye 95.9 FM.
Wale Soyinka, born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of art. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded two theatre groups known as the 1960 Masque and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
Thank you for staying with us. U.S. President Donald Trump warned Britain against deepening business ties with Beijing, calling the move dangerous as Prime Minister Keir Starmer highlighted economic gains from resetting relations with China during a visit on Friday. The comments underlined growing transatlantic unease over China policy. Speaking in Washington, Trump told reporters that closer UK-China ties posed risk, saying it was very dangerous for Britain to pursue such engagement. He made the remarks ahead of the premiere of the film Melania at the Kennedy Center, responding to questions about London's outreach. Starmer has argued that re-engaging China could unlock trade, investment and growth opportunities as Western leaders navigate uncertainty created by Trump's unpredictable diplomacy. Analysts say the episode exposes divergent approaches among allies, with London seeking pragmatic economic benefits while Washington signals caution, potentially complicating coordination on trade, security and technology standards in coming months ahead for policymakers and markets worldwide closely. The Kremlin said on Friday that Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to a personal request from U.S. President Donald Trump to halt strikes on Kiev until February 1, aiming to create favorable conditions for peace negotiations. The announcement raises hopes for a temporary reduction in violence amid ongoing conflict. Trump said on Thursday that Putin had agreed to refrain from targeting Kiev and other Ukrainian cities for a week due to cold weather, though he did not specify when the ceasefire period would end. Officials describe the move as a gesture to facilitate diplomatic engagement and prepare for talks between the warring parties. Analysts said the pause could provide a window for humanitarian aid, civilian evacuations and dialogue, though tensions remain high. Observers cautioned that the situation is fragile and that military operations could resume if negotiations falter, making international monitoring and continued diplomacy crucial to sustaining any temporary truce and advancing prospects for longer-term peace. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said Thursday that he expects the United States to respect Canada's sovereignty, following reports that U.S. officials met separatists seeking independence from Alberta. The comments come amid growing scrutiny of foreign engagement in domestic political movements. According to reports, State Department officials held 3 meetings with the Alberta Prosperity Project, a group advocating a referendum on whether the energy-producing Western province should break away from Canada. The meetings reportedly focused on political and economic issues related to the proposed referendum. Carney said Canada values its relationship with the U.S., but reaffirmed that decisions on provincial governance and territorial integrity remain Canada's internal matter. Analysts said the situation highlights sensitivities around foreign involvement in domestic political initiatives and could influence diplomatic discussions while federal authorities continue to monitor separatist movements and engage with provincial and international partners to maintain national unity and energy sector stability across the country. U.S. President Donald Trump threatened Thursday to impose new tariffs on countries supplying oil to Cuba, escalating Washington's pressure campaign against the communist-run island, a long-term adversary of the United States. The move was authorized through an executive order issued under a national emergency declaration. The order did not specify tariff rates or identify which countries' oil exports to Cuba will be affected, leaving markets and foreign governments uncertain about the scope and timing of potential measures. Analysts said the announcement reflects continued U.S. efforts to isolate Cuba economically and target key trade links, particularly in energy. as part of a broader strategy of pressure and sanctions. Observers expect affected countries to seek clarification and potentially negotiate exemptions, while global oil markets watch for disruptions, shifting supply chains, and the possible impact on prices and regional dynamics if the tariffs are implemented. Carlos Alcaraz reached his Australian Open final on Friday after a dramatic 5-set comeback against Alexander Zverev. The world number one prevailed 6-4, 7-6, 6-7, 6-7, 7-5 in a marathon match lasting 5 hours and 27 minutes in Melbourne. Alcaraz dominated early, winning the first 2 sets, but the momentum shifted in the third set when he began cramping while serving at 4-4. Zverev capitalized, taking the third and fourth sets in tie breaks, pushing the match to a decisive 5th set. The Spaniard recovered physically and mentally to close out the final set 7-5, showcasing resilience and stamina. Analysts praised his composure under pressure, noting that the victory positions Alcaraz to potentially capture a second Grand Slam title. While Zverev's performance signals he remains a formidable contender in major tournaments. Fans hail the encounter as one of the tournament's most thrilling matches. And still in sports, Zambian side Power Dynamos arrived in Uyo on Wednesday night ahead of their CAF Champions League encounter against Rivers United. The team is preparing for Sunday's clash at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. The contingent was received at Victor Atta International Airport by officials from Rivers United and the Akwa Ibom State Football Association. Power Dynamos will train on Saturday to familiarize themselves with the pitch and local conditions ahead of the fixture. The Kitwe-based side drew 0-0 with Rivers United in their last meeting during match day 3. Both teams are expected to field strong lineups, with Rivers United seeking to defend home advantage, while Power Dynamos aim to secure a positive result on Nigerian soil. Fans and officials are anticipating a competitive encounter as the tournament progresses towards the knockout stages. That's a wrap on the news, but before we go, here's a recap of today's top stories. The Director General of the Nigeria-China Strategic Partnership, Mr. Joseph Tegbe, says Nigeria targets $50 billion bilateral trade with China by 2030. Nigeria flared 203.9 billion cubic feet of gas in 2025, despite over 92% utilization, showing ongoing losses. Uganda's economy expected to grow 6.5 to 7% from July, down from earlier 10.4% projection, Finance Ministry says. President Trump warns the United Kingdom against deepening China ties, calling it dangerous amid Starmer's economic engagement visit. And in sports, Carlos Alcaraz reaches first Australian Open final after 5-hour, 5-set comeback win over Alexander Zverev. Thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all social platforms at SOUQ News Television. I am Omobola Sandra. Good afternoon.
Hello, Lagos. Make we yarn.
Hello, boy, if this POS matter, don't pass your call. Person go swipe, alerts no enter. Before you know it, jump.
Wait, wetin really happen?
They use fake alert, the warriors.
Okay, so wanna listen, If you dey do POS business, no expose your alert.
Hello, Ogbefi. They don't walk that bar road where they worry for our local government for years.
This one sweet me, I no lie you. Because you know what? Development with the work, it deserve loudspeaker. Now why we dey here be that? For here, we know the abuse, we dey bring solution. My name, it is Ikechukwu Oyemike, aka Ogbefi Ishegwari.
Make we yarn every weekday from 10 a.m. go reach 12 o'clock on Top the Eye 95.9 FM.
Optimism is a strategy for making a better future because unless you believe that the future can be better, you are unlikely to step up and take responsibility for making it so. Responsibility is the price of greatness. How else can one explain the thought process of a 24-year-old youth leaving the luxurious comforts in the United States to fill in for his incarcerated father in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, and run a family business holding the fort till stability was achieved? This is the story of Abdul Samad Rabiu, an unassuming, silent achiever. Samad Rabiu attended Capital University, Columbus, Ohio, and returned to Nigeria to oversee the family business when his father, Ishaku Rabiu, was detained by the administration of General Muhammadu Buhari for allegedly not paying the rice report duties. Not only was his father under investigation, the family business was under scrutiny. These harsh realities of being thrust right into the middle of it all shaped the young man's resolve to hard work in silence. Abdul Samad Rabiu is the son of one of Nigeria's foremost industrialists, late Khalifa Ishaku Rabiu, founder of Ishaku Rabiu and Sons Group. The family operated holding company with a history of investment in manufacturing, insurance, banking, and real estate. In the 1970s, the group invested in manufacturing, with its first investment being the Kano Suits and Packaging Cases Company, a factory producing suitcases and handbags. In 1972, the Bagauda Textile Mill, manufacturing woven clothes for uniforms, importing and trading in different segments of the economy, including frozen food service, sugar, and a motor vehicle and parts distribution company specialized in Daihatsu products. Abdul Samad Rabiu was born with a very big silver spoon in the ancient city of Kano on the 4th day of August in 1960, 57 days to Nigerian independence. 24 years later, responsibility beckoned. He was in the family business till 1988. Abdul Samad Rabiu, following in the steps of the family business, established BUA Bois International Limited in 1988. Solely for commodity trading, Bois International Limited imported rice, edible oil, flour, iron, and steel. The much-needed wins to his sale came in 1990. The government, owners of the Dettol Steel Company, got into a contract with Bois to supply its raw materials in exchange for finished products. This was the young company's much-needed windfall. Bois expanded further into steel, producing pellets, importing iron ore, and constructing multiple rolling mills in Nigeria. Nigerian Oil Mills Limited, the largest edible oil processing company in Nigeria, was sadly bought by Bois in 2005. Bois started 2 flour milling plants in Lagos and in Kano. By 2008, Bois had broken an 8-year monopoly in the Nigerian sugar industry by commissioning the second largest sugar refinery in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2009, the company went on to silently acquire a controlling stake in a publicly listed cement company in northern Nigeria, Sokoto Cement, and began to construct a $900 million cement plant in Ogu-Okbela, Edo State, completed and commissioned in 2015, which was at that time the single largest non-oil investment in South Nigeria, and had a capacity of 6 million metric tons per annum upon completion of the second line. This was followed by a new 1.5 million metric tons line in Sokoto in 2018 and another 3 million metric ton line, which commenced in 2020 and was commissioned in 2022, bringing the total installed capacity for his cement holdings to 11 million metric tons as of January 2022. Abdul Samad Rabiu is very entrenched with his family in business, having over 40 siblings. His younger brother, Rabiu Ishaku Rabiu, was the CEO of IRS Airlines Limited, an airline based in Abuja, Nigeria. He operates scheduled domestic passenger services. Its main base was Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. The airline was established in 2002 and started operations in March 2002 and ceased operations in 2013. Kabiru Rabiu, a younger brother, currently serves as the Group Executive Director of BUA Group. In 2020, Kabiru was named the best African economic leader under the age of 40, the 100 African Economic Leaders for Tomorrow Awards by the French Institute, SOUQ. BUA invested $300 million in a 20,000 hectares Lafiaji Sugar Estate project, which comprises a sugar mill, sugar refinery, ethanol processing plant, and 35 megawatts power plant. The company also built an export-focused refinery in Port Harcourt, the only destination sugar refinery in sub-Saharan Africa. Abdul Samad Rabiu is constructing a 200,000 barrels per day petrochemicals refinery in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. The agreement was signed with Access of France in August 2020 for the refinery aimed at serving Nigeria and the West African petroleum refining needs. It is expected to be completed and operational by 2025. The privately owned Omu Obela Cement Company was in January 2020 merged with the publicly listed Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, where Abdul Samad Rabiu already held a controlling stake in the $3.3 billion transaction, and BUA Cement PLC was born. Abdul Samad consolidated all his food businesses in sugar, edible oils, rice, flour, and pasta milling into a new company, BUA Foods PLC. In December 2021, it was listed on the Nigerian exchange. BUA Foods emerged as a consumer goods leader in market capitalization, experiencing a phenomenal 206% year-to-date appreciation. Share prices soared from 65 naira per share in December 2022 to the current value of 379.9 naira per share as at 24th March 2024. In terms of fundamentals, BUA Foods exhibited robust financials with a 54% increase in profits to 105.6 billion naira in the first 9 months of 2023. Revenue witnessed an impressive 80.95% year-on-year growth, reaching 524.428 billion naira, and return on average equity stood at 43.42%. Despite challenges, Rabiu strategically increased his direct shares in BUA Cement by 56.37%, totaling 96.12% ownership. This move, executed on June 26, 2023, demonstrates Rabiu's confidence in his company's future growth. BUA Foods PLC and BUA Cement PLC companies are among the top 10 most valuable publicly listed companies in sub-Saharan Africa. From a relatively small company in 1988, BUA Group has grown to a world-class conglomerate, contributing significantly to the country's GDP, while providing employment opportunities for tens of thousands of Nigerians. Abdul Samad Rabiu's philanthropy is silently second to none. He founded the Abdul Samad Africa Initiative, ASR Africa, and an African-focused fund for social development and renewal which seeks to support Nigeria and other African countries in the area of health, education, and social development. In October 2022, Abdul Samad Rabiu, through ASR Africa, donated $500,000 to the United States Agency for International Development, partner on tuberculosis control, HIV, and gender-based violence prevention efforts in Nigeria. Development of a 7.5 billion naira 200-bed specialist hospital in Kano State during the global COVID-19 pandemic. Abdul Samad Rabiu championed Nigeria's donation to this COVID-19 intervention by a single individual or corporate donating, amongst other things, 1.35 billion naira to the COVID private sector coalition, 300 million naira to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, over 1 billion naira in cash donations to 10 state governments across the country, 70 ambulances, medical equipment, face masks, provision of foodstuffs for over 1.5 million persons in Kano, Lagos, and River States. ASR Africa Initiative donated a 4 billion naira police hospital in Abuja and donated 1 billion naira each for 6 universities across Nigeria through the ASR Africa Tertiary Education Grants Scheme for infrastructural development. The beneficiaries of the 6 billion naira tertiary education grant schemes are Ahmadu Bello University, University of Ibadan, University of Maiduguri, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Ilorin, and the University of Benin. ASR Africa Initiative also donated 2.5 billion naira each through its tertiary healthcare development grants for health projects across 4 geopolitical zones in the country. These are in addition to 5 billion naira donated to build the first teaching hospital in Akwa Ibom State, donated 10 billion naira to the Security Support Fund of the Nigerian government. Abdul Samad Rabiu was awarded the 2022 CEO of the Year at the African CSR Awards, 2016 African Industrialist of the Year Awards by the All African Business Leader Awards, the 2022 Sun Man of the Year Awards, 2020 Vanguard Business Person of the Year, and the New Telegraph Philanthropist of the Year 2021. A recipient of several honorary doctorate degrees from various universities, including the University of Benin, Nasarawa State University, Sokoto State University, and Crescent University. Abdul Samad Rabiu is a fellow of the Institute of Directors, and he currently holds the prestigious Nigerian National Honors, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, CFR, Commander of the Order of Niger, CON, as well as the highest civilian national honor in Niger Republic. Abdul Samad Rabiu is married with children. His children are Mustafa Khadija Kuki Rabiu, Ishaku Khalifa Rabiu, Junad Rabiu. On the 22nd of January 2024, Forbes estimated Rabiu's wealth at $5.9 billion, putting him as the 6th wealthiest man in Africa and 508th in the Global Billionaires Club. The family man, the silent achiever, the giver, Abdul Samad Rabiu.
To start with, let me give some introduction to myself. As you said, I was a former Commissioner of Finance. I was a Commissioner of Finance during the Ganduja's administration from June 2015 to October 2018. I was there for 28 months, okay, as a Commissioner of Finance. And I had been with Bayero University, Kano, before I was appointed Commissioner of Finance. Still, I'm a Professor of Accounting in the university, but I double as a Commissioner of Taxation because at the Prince Abubakar Audu University, Ayumba, Kogi State, there was a chair that had been vested there by the Federal Revenue Service in 2011. And they invited applicants for that chair, and I was the successful person, successful applicant. So I still occupy that chair, even though the chair is not functioning. But I got the privilege of serving as the elected or selected professor of taxation in that university. So I am in the area of taxation. I have done a lot of researches in that. And then I serve as the Federal Commissioner of the Tax Appeal Tribunal. So it was on 15th November that our tenure came to an end, from 2018 to 2024 November. So you can see that I have been involved at various levels on the issue of fiscal policy, tax revenue generation, tax revenue utilization. So this reform that we are talking about was brought about by the president with a view to maybe perfecting the tax system in the country. So he formed a committee to advise him as to how to go about coming up with very good national fiscal policy, not just tax policy, and then how to reform the taxes in the country to make them better so that Nigeria can compete with other economies that are advanced in the area of utilization of taxation as a means of growing up the economy and achieving sustainable development. So this I know, the process and all that have gone into this project of reform. So bills were developed out of the report of that committee appointed by the president under the chairmanship of Mr. Tayo Oyedele. And for the first time in the history of forming a committee in Nigeria, we had a committee that the president has given the power of implementation. So it's not just about recommending something to him. It is about coming up with a report which will be convincing to him, and if he's convinced, he will ask them to be involved in the implementation of the recommendation of the report. So I think that is why the committee just presented the proposed bill to him without taking this bill to the public domain. Because of the trust that he has on the committee, he just sent the bill to the National Assembly for consideration, for passage into law. And in the bill, they even gave deadline as to when the bill to be passed into law. They expected that the National Assembly would deliberate on this committee, on this bill, to the extent that the bill will be passed into law before 1st January 2025. So that by 1st January 2025, the content or the provision in these bills will begin to be implemented by the government. 4 bills were developed and proposed. And then unlike the expectation, the comment you made that people are more concerned about the administrative, tax administrative bill. What the bill that is generating the highest controversy is the Nigerian tax bill. That is the bill that has made provision for repealing about 11 taxes that are currently existing, including the VAT itself, including petroleum profit tax, including personal income tax, including companies income tax, and other taxes like capital gain tax, casino tax, etc., etc. And then about 14 laws that are related to taxation, including laws that are designed to exercise control over consumption, over production. They made substantial amendment on them, and then take the amended part of those laws into the Nigerian tax bill, which means that the laws have suffered from, or they have enjoyed consequential amendment. So this bill, which is expected to become an act by 1st January, is now becoming an amalgamation of most of the taxes that Nigeria is using now. Most of the taxes, those that have been repealed, part of them, part of the provision in them have been injected into the Nigerian tax bill. Those that have been considered for consequential amendment, they are also captured in the Nigerian tax bill. And then they made a lot of paragraphing, creating part, creating section, etc., etc., to the extent that the content of that bill is about 220 pages. So you have to develop the stamina. You have to be used to reading before you read everything from the beginning to the end. And if you don't do that, you may miss a lot of things. And you may be talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. And unfortunately, that is what is happening in the public domain. You hear people talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. They just listen to news, radio, television. When they hear the comment of somebody, then they will amplify that comment ignorantly without reading the bill and understanding the content of the bill. So that is the one that is enjoying the greatest controversy. Of course, others too are enjoying some controversy. The Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, because it is in that bill that the new sharing formula for VAT was stated. VAT have been extensively explained or described in the Nigerian tax bill, but how to share the proceeds of VAT have not been captured there. That provision could only be seen when you go to Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, which is the bill that has been designed to show how the tax authorities in the country at the federal level, state level, and local government should be relating with one another so as to avoid conflict, so as to avoid a situation whereby all of them may go to a taxpayer with different dimension of claims. The bill was designed to achieve this main objective, to resolve the conflict that has been happening between tax authorities or even revenue generating agencies. Because when you talk about the revenue, we shouldn't be talking just about the tax revenue. You have revenue that custom is collecting. That bill, second bill, is saying that customs should no longer be involved in collecting revenue. It is the Nigerian Revenue Service that should be collecting. Customs, let them take care of their responsibility of checking item coming in, item going out, which is another area of clash. These custom people, they are used to collecting money. Okay, and they are used to, many of them, a lot of allegations are there as to how they are collecting this money, how they are not remitting the correct amount. So now, collection of custom duty will no longer be the responsibility of custom official, custom service. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should be collecting. The same thing with all other agencies of government that are considered as revenue centers. So that bill has made adequate provision to show that they know the moment this bill was passed into law, they don't have any power to collect revenue. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should collect. Let them deal with their own responsibilities of stabilizing the economy, ensuring control over consumption, over production, over whatever. But then collection of revenue is not their own. And then between the state internal revenue service and the Nigerian Revenue Service, there should be harmony. If there are revenues sources that are difficult for the state revenue service to utilize in generating revenue, they can bring in, they can collaborate, they can reach agreement with the Nigerian Revenue Service to do the collection and then share the amount collected as per the agreement, or take cost of collection as per the agreement and then give the state internal revenue service or even local government revenue committee what they deserve. So the expectation of the Nigerian Revenue Nigerian Tax Administration Bill is to bring about harmony and understanding. So how that could be brought about is a question to be answered. Because of the nature of Nigeria, the nature of official, and the way the people put their eyes on money. They want to be the one collecting money or keeping money or doing something with money. And now you are saying that all those that are used to that, they have to, they will be suspended from doing that, or they will be barred from doing that. It is only that agency, the Nigerian Revenue Service, that will be doing it. So there are some issues there that are calling for a question, okay, understanding among the agencies involved or the tier of government involved, and then of course patriotism to ensure that whatever we do as revenue collectors, as treasury managers, as revenue utilizers for the execution of various projects, we demonstrate ethics, we demonstrate honesty and integrity. The revenue agency itself, before now, the revenue agency is behaving as if it is for the federal government. And this bill that has been sent to the National Assembly is encouraging the Nigerian Revenue Service, which will now replace the Federal Revenue Service and the law that established it. It's encouraging it to consider itself as a federation agency, not federal government agency. It is to be serving the interests of the federation. And so, the concern of the state should be addressed by that agency. The concern of local government should also be addressed. It should be an agency that should be mentoring local government revenue agencies or tax authorities and state government revenue authorities or tax authority, so that they carry themselves together as a team, then ensuring that we have very good tax system in the country, that we have adequate revenue generation on taxation, which should be put to use for executing various projects that will bring about sustainable development in the country. So when you look at all the provision made in the Nigeria Revenue Service Bill, they are talking about the need for harmonious working relationship. They're talking about the federal Nigeria Revenue Service to serve as the model to state revenue service and local government revenue committee, so that they have very good understanding in implementing the provision in the Nigerian tax bill and the Nigerian tax administration bill. So all the provisions are like that. And then provisions have been made adequately as to the position of the executive chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service, the need for governing board, which will have that chairman as the chairman, the need to have the technical committee at the state level, and who are to be members of that committee, the whole and representation to be drawn from various MDAs and other agencies of government and federal government into the committee, and many other issues. And even at the local government level, there is a need for revenue, local government revenue committee, which should be chaired by the councillor in charge of revenue or finance at the local government level, and who the members are and their function. So when you look at all the provision there shouldn't be any controversy. Even if there will be controversy, it should be less. And it should be something that could be resolved. For example, personally, I will not support a situation whereby the chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service should also be the chairman of the board. This is against corporate governance system. And then the same person will be the chairman of the technical committee. The same person will be the chairman of the revenue joint committee, where all the representatives for local government will be members and other agencies. So it will be as if the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will become the alpha and omega on all revenue issues in the state. And that person may even be seeing himself to be more powerful than Commissioner of Finance. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I was serving as the supervisory person on all the activity in the Internal Revenue Service. The chairman of Internal Revenue Service should be reporting to me, should be taking orders to me. He shouldn't be going directly to the governor. But the provision is showing that the chairman of Internal Revenue Service is equal to the commissioner. And in fact, they were even saying that governor is just to nominate him and has to go to the House of Assembly for clearance. Just as commissioner will go to House of Assembly for clearance. And there is no provision to show that this person should be answerable to the Commissioner of Finance. So something like this, I think many people may not see it, but with my own experience as a Commissioner of Finance, who have been intimately related to the Minister of Finance that time, I know the problem many states were facing as they empower the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service, they empower too much the accountant general against the commissioner of finance, who should be the supervisor to all these agencies of government. So issues like this are there, and appropriate action need to be taken by the National Assembly in correcting the lapses in the bill. Then the last one, which is about institutionalizing revenue board. Okay, a revenue board. Before we have joint revenue board. Before we have joint tax board. So now that joint tax board is an appendix of the personal income tax. It's just under personal income tax. So now the drafters of the bill, they will want joint revenue board to be on its own. I have a law supporting it, so that at the federal level, where we have the chairman of the Federal Revenue Service, he will now serve as the chairman of the Joint Revenue Board. Then all the chairmen of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will be members. Ministry of Finance will have a representative. Ministry of Budget and Planning will have a representative. And you have some other agencies of federal government that may send representative into that board. So that board will be taking decision on monthly basis on where improvement should be made, how to solve problem between one tier of government and another, and many other things, which will be very, very beneficial to the president or the Federal Executive Council, and then beneficial to governors and the various state executive council on fiscal policy and on utilization of taxation to generate revenue and on utilization of the revenue being generated by these agencies. Because many people are having the feeling that the agency, they collect this money and they spend the money. But in real sense, they only collect, but they remit to the government, into the treasury of government. So while they collect, they have the responsibility of collection, they don't have the power to spend a kobo from the amount generated. It is the government that takes care of that. So the Joint Revenue Board has been given a lot of responsibilities in that bill. So when it becomes act, become a law of itself, so the Joint Revenue Board will now be more powerful than what we know before as Joint Tax Board. So this is just the summary of the bill that have been sent to the National Assembly for passage into law. Yeah, my turn is that we need reform in our tax system. As a student of taxation, I have the belief that no economy can make any progress if it doesn't have a good tax system. Most of the economies of the world, or I can say all of them, all the developed economies of the world, they are tax-based economies. And most of the natural resource-based economies, they are among the backward economies in the world. You look at it. All the members of OPEC, none of them is part of the G20. They have the revenue, they have the oil, they are producing it in great quantity, but they are still being considered as developing economies. Well, when you look at UK, Germany, France, US, other countries like that, they don't claim to be having enough revenue, enough oil to refine for their use and then to export the excess for sale. They don't claim for that, and that's why they don't belong to the OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They base their economy on taxation, but then they have very good tax system, which is just attracting minimal complaint. And the moment they hear some complaint from either the taxpayers or the tax administrators, they take appropriate action immediately, so that at the end, nobody will complain. And because of the reliance on taxation, the citizen of that countries, both natural and artificial person, companies and individual, who are the citizen of the country, as they pay tax, they have the right to demand accountability. They have the right to demand prudence. They have the right to demand transparency. And for that, those imposition of austerity, they are always in fear that whatever, if they steal a kobo, people will shout, this is our money. We contributed this money for execution of progress that will amount to a project that will amount to sustainable development, not for the money to be stolen. So this person that is stealing money, appropriate legal action should be taken against him. Sometimes you hear some leaders being hung. Sometimes you hear some leaders being shot, the firing squad, because of the misuse of public money. So members of the public that are contributing this money in the form of taxation, they complain. And then they insist on appropriate action to be taken. So before you come out and claim that you want people to vote for you to go to the parliament or to be the governor or the president or whatever, you will have it in your mind that when you go there, you touch public money, that may be the end of your life. Because that the contributors of that money will be, their eyes and attention will be on the money. And the moment you misuse it, they will take appropriate action against you. Your image will be tarnished. You may even lose your life. So those economies that are considered as developed, they rely substantially or totally on taxation for their development. And then those economies that are reliant on natural resources, oil, cocoa, solid mineral, whatever, as they use the money from this to execute project, the members of the citizens of that country, both natural and artificial, they don't care if they see them stealing the money and abusing the money, because it's not their money. It's not their own contribution to the economy. Number one, the prohibition on VAT, which you said earlier has attracted a lot of attention from leaders in the northern part of the country. VAT could be addressed in two ways. Okay, the first way affect everybody, and then the second way is what the leaders in the north are complaining about. The first way is on the increase in the VAT rate. Increase in the VAT rate. We have never had a situation whereby progressive increase will be brought to VAT rate in any country in the world. From my reading, I have never experienced it. But this is being brought about in Nigeria through these laws. They said VAT rate now, which is 7.5%, as per the Content of Finance Act 2020, will be increased to 10% from January 2025. Just about a month away. If the bills are passing to law, VAT will be increased to 10% of all VATable goods and services. And then just 1 year after, 2026, it will be increased to 12.5%. Then you have a small raise for 3 years. By 2030, the rate will be increased to 15%. So you can see the progression in the increase of VAT. And the moment you increase VAT rate, inflation will come up very powerfully, especially as you are increasing from 20 to 2025, 2026, you are increasing 2.5%. So the goods and services throughout the country, you see their prices going up. And there is no separate market for VATable goods and services and non-VATable goods and services. No separate market. Don't just feel that when you increase VAT rate, the increase in prices will be on VATable goods only. All other goods and services, their prices will go up. And how do you survive that? Nigerians now are complaining about fuel subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal, and many people have become unemployed. Many people have become disabled. Nobody, no any earner of salary can claim to be saving anything for investment. People are borrowing money to top up to the income that they have for survival. And those that have no work, they are complaining. We just finished induction for ICANN. About 3 inductees met me that if I have any chance for them to get employment, you are qualified as a chartered accountant and you are looking for jobs. So what about the secondary school leavers, diploma holders, and other people that have not even attended school? So unemployment is on the high side, and increase in inflation is a killer to businesses, because when you don't have people buying, you have to stop production. You have to stop providing services, and when you stop production, you sack your employees, and then you have more people go into the employment market and labor market. So increase in the VAT rate is a very big killer to an economy. And this is a problem that affects all the state in Nigeria. And our president himself in 2020, I could remember, when they are trying to increase VAT rate from 5% to 7.5%, he came up and warned the government that this increase in VAT rate will be harmful to the economy because of the inflation that it will ignite. That was during his, I think, 68 or 69 birthday lecture. When he was to comment, he talked harshly against the increase in VAT rate. And now the same government is accepting the bill to go to the National Assembly for increase in VAT rate on a continuous basis. So I see this as a very big mistake. The timing is very wrong. And then the policy, the idea of progressively increasing VAT rate, especially as Nigerians are complaining about the subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal. So this is one thing that needs to be looked into. And as we are interested in generating more revenue through taxes, particularly consumption tax, we have to be very careful about the consequences of the increase. And this is for the whole country. So that is one part. The second part is about the sharing of the amount that will be generated. Yes, right now, when VAT is generated internally, and of course the one for custom, they put it together and share it using vertical formula and horizontal formula. Vertical formula between federal government, state government, and local government. So federal government takes 15%, state government 50%, local government 35%. That's how they share it vertically. And then for local government and state, since they are not at the same level in terms of population, in terms of level of economic development, in terms of weight for industrial development, so they have to use the separate formula. And they agreed that 50% of whatever belongs to state government should be shared equally. 30% should be shared on the basis of population. And then 20% should be shared on the basis of derivation. And that derivation, in the simple language, is about the contribution of every state to the VAT that has been generated. And at the local government level, they are to consider the contribution of each local government to the VAT that has been generated. Okay? So at the state level, when you say contribution of every state on the VAT that has been generated, consumption is much more in some states than in some other states. But then the formula, the derivation, the term derivation, this date, that is being applied now, is giving priority to states where the head offices of companies providing services and goods are located. You do consumption in Adamawa on services, maybe the chat card, and other communication or telecommunication services, or bank services, or insurance services, or whatever. So since you are just dealing with the branches there, the head office of the bank producing these services is in Lagos or in Rivers or whatever. So it will be deemed as if you do the consumption there. And so the credit will go to Lagos or Rivers or Ogun or wherever, where the headquarters of it is located. Not where you do the consumption. So at the end of the day, you see that states like Lagos, its own contribution may be 50% or 60% or more every month. At the state like Rivers, its contribution may be about 15% or 20%. Abuja may be about 10% or 50%. And then the heavy consumers, the northern state, like Kano, which is a commercial center, its own contribution may be 1% or 2%, because it doesn't have the head offices of the companies providing these goods and services that are being consumed there. So at the end of the day, you see that 20%, if it is 6 billion, for example, if it is 6 billion, for example, so 60% of that 6 billion will be about 3.6 billion. That may go to Lagos. And then 10% of that 60% may be about 600 million. It may go to this. And then you, the consumers, you may get 1% of that. So you can see that particular 20% is the crux of the matter. That is the basis of the controversy. So now that this bill has been submitted to the National Assembly, then these people are so that this derivation has been increased to 60%. 60% instead of 20%. Now, not previously, right now, 20%.
Not right now, 20%.
And it has been jacked up.
It has been jacked up.
And the deflation has been jacked up. And then in the law, derivation has not been defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now the derivation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, oh, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% derivation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should have defined that in the law. When you say the issue of derivation has been increased to 60%, but what we mean by derivation is this and that. So that controversy will have been avoided. Or you go under the interpretation section. And so as you are interpreting this, and then you say derivation. By derivation, we mean this, and that. That has not been done in both the Nigerian Tax Act and the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. So you can sympathize with the people complaining. And then if it goes like that, if they don't correct it at the National Assembly before passing into law, the moment it is passed into law, they will go back to this issue. The suspicion is that they will just go back to a pleasing state where the headquarters of the companies are located, because there is no definition that says that it is about consumption. So everything needs to be documented. Yeah, in a society that is well informed, you should always talk on the basis of evidence. And evidence in accounting, we said you prioritize when you are to prioritize between two evidence, verbal and written. Written is more important than verbal evidence. Okay, and that is why in court, even if you say you give verbal evidence, they want to write it down and read it for you. Then you sign or you put your thumbprint that yes, this is your comment. Because written evidence will continue to remain. Verbal evidence could be denied in a later date. So these are two issues, all based on that. And then you can appreciate why people are talking too much on this matter, to the extent that they don't even care to notice other lapses that in the act. But they, as student of taxation, I have to read and try to pinpoint lapses that need to be corrected so that we have a perfect reform on taxation or on revenue generation in our dear country. So you see, I saw provision on development levy. That there will be development levy, and that development levy will be 4% of accessible profit of companies whose turnover is more than 50 million per annum. So their accessible profit 4% will be charged as development levy from 2025 to 2026. From 2027 to 2029, development levy will be reduced to 3%. From 2030 and up thereafter, development levy will go down to 2%. So that development levy will be the reason for wiping out other development levies that is used by some government agencies that are providing vital services for this country. You have TED Fund, Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Now they are relying on 3% of accessible profit of companies for all the projects that they are executing across the country. TED Fund, as I hope you know it very well. So it's the one that is most of the infrastructure development in federal university, federal polytechnic, federal college education have been executed by TED Fund. They sponsor lecturers of various institutions to go for further study, to attend conferences, and they have what they call National Research Fund. They take care of all the researches that are being conducted by all these tertiary education institutions using that money. So TED Fund will now get some share from this new development levy. And then you have NIDA, Nigerian Information Technology Development Agency, which is given the mandate of making Nigeria to become an ICT economy. And that agency is relying on 1%. 1% of the profit before tax of GSM companies, banks, insurance companies, etc. These are companies that are pushing for ICT technology development. So the agency is the one to be monitoring the activities, and they want to be funding ICT development in various institutions and taking many other measures which should take Nigeria to ICT economic level. You have NASENI, Nigerian Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. So that is an agency that has been given the mandate to make Nigeria become science and technology economy, to promote local manufacture of cars, local manufacture of motorcycle, and many other things that we show that we have grown up as an economy that can compete with all these developed economies. So that agency is also relying on a particular share, I cannot remember, from what internal, I think, Federal Revenue Service is collecting. And now the government has introduced NEL Fund. So NEL Fund is collecting 1% of the total taxes, levies, etc. that are passing through the Federal Revenue Service. So these are 4 agencies of government that are relying on levies, charges, etc. for them to take care of the mandate given to them. So this development levy is designed to ensure that 3 of them are phased out systematically. Only NEL Fund, which is for giving loan to students, will survive. By 2030, that 2% that we are talking about, from 4% to 3% to 2%, the whole of that 2% will be for the NEL Fund. Well, all these have been put aside. It's up to the government to decide whether to disband them or to put them into the mainstream budgeting system. So in 2025 to 2026, third fund will get 50% of that 4%. And NEL fund will get 25%. NIDA will get 20%. NASEMI will get 2%. So by the end of 2026, NASENI, NIDA will no longer get anything from that development levy. So they will be on their own. It's up to the government to decide whether to cut them out or to continue to fund them through the budgeting system. And then by the end of 2029, third fund will not be getting anything. But from that 27 to 29, they said third fund will be getting 66 and 2/3%. And NELDA will get 33 and 1/3%. That is what will happen for 2028 and 2029. By the end of 2029, forget about third fund. It is only NEL fund that will be getting that 2% development levy that will be charged. So you can see that by 2029, all the three agencies that have clear mandate for moving the Nigerian economy forward, they may either be passed out or they may be taken back into the mainstream federal government budget. And agencies that are used to being independent, are being to working on target, how can they survive under the mainstream government budget? So the other implication is that as you have only NEL fund, even before transferring everything to NEL fund is there to give loan to students. All this money that will be coming to you just for giving loan to students. So this shows that a Nigerian student will mainly become debtors. And when they become debtors, will they have the mouth to complain about the government being a debtor nation? Nigeria as a whole becoming a debtor nation. Every day loan is increasing. So students too will now become debtors. Secondly, the federal institution, all these federal universities, they are not charging tuition fee up to now. They only charge registration fee. University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, Bayero University, Kano, ABU, all these federal universities, and many of the state universities, they don't charge tuition fee, just to encourage children of the poor to attend university or polytechnic or colleges of education. So as third fund is put in place, nobody can claim that he or she cannot pay tuition fee. And then no university or polytechnic should be going to government asking for money. In fact, government may even give them target of the amount that they should be remitting to the government. Because you are charging tuition fee, you are charging registration fee, you are having enough money to take care of yourself. And then we want you to remit something to us because we own the federal university college education polytechnic. So at the end of the day, you see that students will become debtors, students and their parents who insist on making sure that their children attend universities or polytechnic or college of education. And then the universities will no longer be complaining about insufficiency of funds. Because private universities are not complaining of it. They have their founders who are funding them and they are charging fee. Some are even charging 2.something million per semester in Nigeria here. Some are charging 2 million, some are charging 1.5 million per semester, and some per session. And so they have a lot of money to execute various projects, to pay high salary to their staff. And then the private universities, they are complaining that no money. When you go to go, they say no money. Even for execution of project, they either tell one to do it for you, or you go cap in hand as for support from individual and organization to execute project for you. But now that you are allowed to charge fees, and the student, if they don't have money to pay, or their parents don't have money to pay, they go to NELFO to collect loan for the payment of the tuition fee and the registration fee, and even for living costs. And they made it very clear that when you borrow such kind of money, you will start making repayment 2 years after graduation, and even 2 years after graduation until you get a job to do. And then from the job that you are doing, you'll be paying 10% annually up to when you finish paying the loan. How will that be feasible in Nigeria? How will that be feasible? So this provision too is a matter of concern. Yes, for people that will look about what will happen in the future. Look at the implication of the policies contained in that bill. Okay? So I am of the opinion that to correct these lapses, they should just stop at the first formula. When you collect 4%, you increase the rate to 3%, as again to 4%, as again 3% for checkpoint, in order to accommodate other agencies, and you stop charging the other day. And then, so the first year they said 50% will go to checkpoint, which is like reducing what checkpoint is getting from 3% to 2%. I hope you understand. When I say 50% of 4, that is 2. Before third point is getting 3% of the accessible profit. So we can manage with the decrease from 3% to 2%. And then NEL fund, which is the baby of the government, will give you 20%. Okay? Then NISDA, which is having very clear mandate of making the Nigerian economy an ICT economy, 20%. Then NASENI, 5%, saying we don't care much about the technological development that may come to manufacturing cars, motorcycle, etc. We give them 5%, and then allow them to look for means of further funding themselves. So you stop at that, but not to scrap any of these agencies. So that's my own advice. Okay, so that is another important area that need to be addressed in this bill before they are passed into law. In taxation, as I said, we encourage payment of what you can afford. A situation whereby, this is my own personal opinion, yes, and people may feel that I am in support of taxing the poor. No, I'm not talking about the poor. Anybody that doesn't have income, that doesn't have profit, that doesn't have gain, it should not be considered for taxation. But if you are making some gain, you are making some income, no matter how small, and you are paying something, no matter how small, out of what you are gaining, that will make you to have greater moral right to challenge government. But if you are put outside the tax net, you are not contributing anything, you don't have much moral right to come and challenge the government for inefficiency, for poor accountability, for poor transparency. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I had called to be organizing some town hall meetings with small, medium, micro, small, and medium enterprises across the market that we had in Kano. I will invite their leaders and inform and address them. You see, we are introducing presumptive tax. We are doing that with a view to ensuring that you own the government. You own the government. This government belongs to every one of us. But then those that are contributing money into running the affairs of the government, into executing various projects for the state, they have greater stake than those that are not contributing anything. And no matter how small their contribution is, you have the right to claim ownership of government. So many of them were encouraged. So I said, okay, you are in this business, you are at this level. How much can you afford to pay as your presumptive tax? So we say they themselves, yeah, they will accept, yeah. So there was a time that we had meeting with some of them. I was saying that you are too small, or maybe every month you should be contributing 100 naira. Some say no, if that group of people can contribute 150, we can contribute 200 naira every month. Through engagement, interaction with the micro, small, and medium enterprise, you can arrive at something that they will be contributing in the form of presumptive tax. And that payment will make them to have the pride of becoming taxpayers. And they will be having their eyes on how government is spending the money. But the situation whereby you come openly and say that you are pushing away about 90% of the people out of the tax net. So you are only relying on 10% of people for the payment of tax. So you are saying that you are now taking the whole of the government to 10% of people, or probably 1% of people. My worry is about that threshold. The fact that you have threshold does not mean that somebody that is not at that threshold, who is making money, cannot contribute with a view to owning the government. I hope you understand. My concern is about ownership. Taxation is a way of owning the government. So if I pay tax, like now I pay tax, I know every month they deduct something out of my salary as a lecturer in the university. I will look at my pay slip and see the contribution that I have made. So if I need tax clearance certificate, I can go there and collect it, whatever reason. But you that are not paying anything, what tax clearance will you ask for? Okay? And then if something bad is happening in government, you see them stealing money, do you have any right to complain? Is it their money? What have you contributed there? So a situation whereby we want people to be economically empowered, to own government. And then we are now having a reform that is saying that that is even proud to say that about 90% are made not taxable, even presumptive tax. So in other words, I am of the view that as we claim for transactional tax to be paid by the rich and luxury asset to be taxed as that are at the lower level, they should also be paying some presumptive tax, even if it is 10 naira per month or 20 naira per month, so that those rich people claim that the government belongs to them, this one too will say, yes, the government belongs to us. So provision like this is not there in the act. All they are just claiming is that they have pushed people away from the tax net. And pushing them away from the tax net, just pushing them away from ownership. So you are just surrendering the whole of the government to very few people who will now be teleguiding those in the position of authority. And you will just be asking for help all the time. Where you can also claim ownership with pride, or no matter the amount that you are contributing to government. The other aspect of it is this absence of adequate provision in the Act on property tax. Property tax, yes, property tax. Like I was talking about luxury asset. Those with luxury asset, they need to be taxed on the value of this luxury asset so that we generate more revenue. Those that are doing the transaction of high volume of money, they need to be taxed for this transaction. That's what we call transactional tax. So you can see that as we are talking of relieving the poor or income earners from tax, from this tax rate, we are not talking much about taxing the rich in the bill. It is not clear as to how properties of the rich people in this country who are very small. Someone was even telling me that in Nigeria, where you see 99% of the wealth of the country is in the hand of 1% of the people in the country. That 99% of the people of this country, they own only about 10% of the wealth of the country. What a gap! If this is true, we have not done any study empirically to ascertain this figure, but you can see some sign of it, and you need taxation to bridge the gap. And then as you are arguing for the bridging of the gap, you now have a reform that is throwing away 90% of the people from the tax net, and then the people drafting the bill are even proud to say it. So I have reservation on this. If I find my way, I will agitate for appropriate correction to be done. And that does not mean that I'm agitating for the taxing of the poor. I'm talking about those that can afford. They are not for the personal income tax rate, but then they pay presumptive tax with a view to owning the government, with a view to ensuring that the government is not allocated to only the very few rich. And then these few rich the other way around, there are no adequate provision, there are no clear provision to see how their wealth will be taxed. No. If you look at all the statements that we're making, there's nowhere that I mentioned that the North is having this agitation. I'm just talking to you about areas of concern in the law. Areas of concern. I think I only made reference to the North when it's come to this issue of sharing of VAT, that the governors and traditional rulers in the North, they are forced to raise alarm, and they raise alarm on this matter only. But all the other matters that I mentioned, they have not said anything. Maybe they have not seen them. They don't have this perspective that I have. Okay, so I am a Nigerian first before becoming a Northerner. Okay, so I talk as a Nigerian. My concern is about the Nigerian people, and the Northern people are also part of Nigeria. Yeah, you see their position, or the worry they express is just about the injustice they suspect from the issue of VAT collection and sharing. And even that provision has been made perfectly, I doubt very much if they will complain. And then secondly, they may be having the suspicion that the drafters of the bill were just reading the mind of the president. A president who was a governor in Lagos State, who developed, people are just having the feeling that he was the one that developed the Lagos agenda, which is about making Lagos State to have a special status in Nigeria. And special status is just about maybe putting it into a position higher than other governors, but not up to the level of the federal government. And then when you are targeting that special status position, then a lot of things could be designed that will be favoring Lagos. So those that are attaching the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not augur well for them on the VAT allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other states in the country. Probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of VAT. And then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have. The issue of trust. Trust, what some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by these bills if corrective measures are not taken. All these issues that I mentioned, I did that honestly as a Nigerian. By all standards, I should be accepted as a Nigerian. Even by virtue of my past, people should accept me as a Nigerian. I don't have any reason to be sentimental against any part of this country. I don't have any reason to be favorable to one region against another. I don't have any reason for that, but even by virtue of my birth and my own level of experience, okay? And of course by my age, somebody that is around 60. So that person should only be thinking about what you meet when you die, when you reach your goal. Okay, so I think to be fair to them, we can say that their worry is mainly about that issue, and then all other issues are suspicion.
begins with the ordinary. A shopper walks into a supermarket, picks a product from the shelf, marked 2,000 naira, and gets to the counter only to be told it costs 2,400 naira. To most Nigerians, it's just another frustrating moment at the checkout. But to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, it's a violation, one that captures the complex realities of consumer rights and fair competition in Nigeria's fast-moving consumer goods sector. Between March and August 2025, the FCCPC recorded 1,543 consumer complaints within the FMCG sector, the second highest across all industries during that period. The complaints range from deceptive marketing and product defects to poor disclosure of terms and delayed complaint resolution. The FMCG industry, known for its quick turnover and intense price sensitivity, remains one of Nigeria's most competitive sectors. Yet, beneath its vibrancy lies a network of compliance hurdles and market pressure points. Bayo Olaoye notes in this special report that the FCCPC continues to face tough challenges in maintaining balance between regulation and market realities. He explains that some trade associations allegedly adopt restrictive practices such as uniform pricing, high membership fees, and entry barriers, which can distort fair competition if unchecked. In one notable case, he recalls, the FCCPC sealed a supermarket in Abuja in February 2024 after discovering discrepancies between displayed prices and checkout charges, a clear case of deceptive pricing. According to Olaoye's analysis, Nigeria's Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, FCCPA 2018, provides the strongest legal foundation for consumer rights protection in the country. The Act guarantees the right to safety, requiring that all goods and services sold to the public be safe for ordinary use. Unsafe products must be withdrawn immediately once identified. It also guarantees the right to information, ensuring that consumers receive accurate details about price, composition, quantity, and use conditions before purchase. Where goods turn out defective, the consumer is entitled to repair, replacement, or refund. Sections of the FCCPA further prohibit false representation, bait advertising, and exaggerated claims, with sanctions reaching up to 10% of a company's annual turnover. Olaoye points out that state agencies such as LASCOPA complement FCCPC's efforts, helping consumers access information, redress, and awareness of their rights. Despite these laws, FMCG companies operate under immense economic strain. Rising inflation, forex shortages, and unpredictable input costs have made compliance increasingly difficult. Several multinationals have either scaled down or exited the Nigerian market, citing high operating costs and regulatory pressures. Still, as Olaoye observes, consumer protection and fair competition remain non-negotiable principles for any healthy economy. In 2023, the FCCPC fined a multinational FMCG company $110 million for abusing market dominance and stifling competition. Olaoye highlights the case as a major signal of the Commission's resolve to hold both local and foreign players accountable. Olaoye argues that compliance should not be viewed merely as a legal requirement, but a strategic business investment that strengthens consumers' trust and market credibility. He recommends that FMCG firms integrate compliance clauses into contracts, conduct regular audits, and maintain transparent pricing practices. Predatory or collusive pricing, he warns, can damage reputation and attract severe sanctions. The way forward. For Nigeria's FMCG sector, the path forward lies in collaboration, transparency, and innovation. Olaoye concludes that legal practitioners and compliance officers must continue to bridge the gap between policy and practice through staff training, regulatory monitoring, and transparent communication. I'm Moyosore Adibi, SOUQ News TV.
Hello Lagos, make we yarn.
Hello, boy, if this POS matter, don't
Wait, wetin really happen?
Maybe you fake a lot the warriors.
Okay, so Mona, listen, if you dey do POS business, no expose your alert.
Hello, Ogbefi. They don't walk that bar road where they worry for our local government for years.
This one sweet me, I no lie you. Because you know what? Development where they work, it deserve loudspeaker. Now why we dey here be that? For here, we know the abuse, we dey bring solution. My name, it is Ikechukwu Uyemike, aka Ogbefi Ishegwari.
Make we yarn every weekday from 10 a.m. go to 12 o'clock on Top the Eye 95.9 FM.